I can feel like I'm a part of this. Do you want me in this party dress if I still feel alone? Never mind. What a fool I am, waiting for you to make plans with me. I could be selfish, or I'm just sick of selflessly loving again and again and again. Oh, I'm driving far to pass the time and forget what you haven't said. If I ran away tonight, would you notice if I ever left? Never mind, never mind, never mind. I'm a hypocrite, 'cause I find home in a house with no foundation. Only listening to silence that says no to my hopeful wishing again and again and again. Do I have to say this again with broken record eyes? My keys in ignition, if only you remembered when I said the first time. You know that I hate goodbyes, but I've closed the door and now I'm free to drive. Never mind. Ooh, never mind. Never mind. Would you notice if I ever left? Never mind, never mind, never mind.
All right, thanks so much, Vox Fest, for having us tonight. We are Melancholia. We're here, because of Vox Fest and a digital music festival and all these times. And yeah, so thanks so much. And we've got a lot of good music coming tonight.
We've got some great songs for you today. We've got a couple originals. We're going to be doing a Fleetwood Mac cover for you that we've got coming up next. And stay tuned for our EP, which we will be releasing in a couple weeks.
Also, that song was called Nevermind, so there's that.
Now here you go again. You say you want your freedom.
the cover, obviously. For those of you that probably know, Dreams by Fleetwood Mac.
All right, and I did realize I made a quick mistake. Our EP will be releasing on December 10th. So
Today. Not in a few weeks. You guys don't have to wait any longer. You can listen
I
to
just
it in
wanted
the
to clear
live
that up.
stream.
It's coming out on the same day, so you can listen to us right after this if you're not sick of us
You
yet.
don't have to take any breaks at all. On Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, whatever you prefer, though Spotify reigns superior.
Right, Will. All right, we got a couple more originals for you.
Yeah.
I've never been the type to play as a pawn or mumble along to the sound of a drum that belongs to anyone else. Thinking I'm on a rush, just speed through the necessary moments. But maybe you could try to fire on all circuits at once. Ooh. Oh. Give me a sign besides wasted time. Paint me a riddle, don't give me this humble portrait. Open your mouth, closed ones don't ever get fed. And I'm sick of being hungry. 600 miles to go. Yellow lines, all these signs tell me that I'll make this worthwhile. I'm so sorry that this bed isn't something you would lay in. Ooh. Oh. Give me a sign besides a stutter goodbye. Using your words like you're stuck in a polar vortex. Put on your coat, you know that you can't change the weather. I'm sick of being cold. Maybe it's me, I'm complaining again. I could be wrong, but who knows the weight of a feeling? So I'll keep walking or driving again. Give me a sign besides all these dotted lines. Hugging the curb like a mother, side wasted. Don't need my shoes, I've always just been good at running. And I'm scared of getting old. And I'm scared of getting old. And I'm scared of getting older.
All right.
That one was Maybe
Felt
It's
good.
Me. Did.
Feel good to y'all? Yeah. Everyone feel good? All right, we've got one more for you.
Take me back to the last season of happiness that I left. six-pack of magnets so I can lay on this stone wall, sitting up high where the whole world looks content. Still as a statue, I'm stoic like I'm not coming back. Took a potion, it was hard to swallow. Cure for wellness and perpetual sorrow. Easier to say, harder to do. Exception to the rule is when you got nothing left to lose on this stone. Whoa, my kryptonite, where the whole world looks content. Food rise, dreaming all night like the sun's never coming back. Stone while I'm dreaming again. Only thing that satisfies. Stone while I'm waiting again. Waiting for the sunrise. Waiting for my whole life. Waiting for.
All right, well, that does it for Melancholia.
Yep, that's Dreams and our entire EP called One Day, and that's releasing on the 10th, aka today. And also a big thanks to Will Reeves at Central Cellar Studio for letting
Yes.
us jazz up his space with some Walmart Christmas lights.
It's very
This is
classy.
a high budget film.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for listening. We really appreciate it.
And you can check us out on Instagram at,
Yes, we are on Instagram at Melancholia the Band and on Facebook.
and you'll just search Melancholia, I think. Don't quote me. We'll see you there.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Hi everyone, welcome to the third and final day of Vox Fest. We just kicked things off tonight with a set by Melancholia, an indie rock band based out of Colombia. And guys, we were all listening to your set very closely, I think. But I wanted to ask you what you think that the name Melancholia is reflective of.
I would say the name Melancholia is probably reflective of, the term melancholic, which would be being happy and sad all at once, or, embracing nostalgia with kind of like a hint of optimism. And our songs, I would say, do reflect that, as different as they all may be from one another. It kind of maintains that theme.
I think it was one of those things that when we heard it, it just clicked. It just made sense for not only Angie and I's just interests and chemistry, but, the tone of our songs as well.
So you said things click together. You guys have a lot of unconventional aspects in your band. One of those being that you have two lead singers. Do you think that those unconventions separate Melancholia from other bands locally and in general?
I feel like it's definitely a sound that I've never heard in town or gotten to play with. And they're two people who have sang together for a little while, but they've known each other forever. So I feel like even when they're singing, they're always with each other more than I've never heard two people sing the way they do.
Yeah, it is something that I think that like is a little bit like risky sometimes.
Yeah,
you know?
it is. The balance can be tough.
Yeah, definitely, but it's worth it.
And also, instrumentally, there is a song here and there where I'll add some rhythm guitar to give him more space for the lead. But in 2 of the 3 songs on the EP that we're releasing, and also our cover of Dreams today, it's, a 3-piece instrumental with 2 lead singers instead of 1 singer and a 4-piece, instrumental.
Yeah. Do you guys think that those risks make your music better?
I wouldn't even, I don't know, I hesitate to call it a risk because it just seems to be the thing that all of us fit into so naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we couldn't do it differently, and it's like I wouldn't want to. I think Stella and Angie's voices together, and like that, and then like mine and Forrest, we've been playing together, and now we got Alex in it. It's just like all melts so perfectly that it's like it would be hard pressed to do something different. I think.
So that idea of things clicking together,
Yeah.
All right. So Angie and Stella, the first time that you guys performed live together in front of an audience, it was at Dive Bar. Can you tell me what happened to the crowd?
Well, it was interesting because I came on and she came on at the latter half of the set, and it was really interesting because like when I was playing it was just 2 covers, but she came on to sing the original song that we had worked on, and the crowd was pretty interested, but like there's always the hustle and bustle of like the bar and people going in and out, and your friend walks in, you get up and you're like, oh hey, and just like pretty distracted. But like as soon as the harmonies came in, like people weren't moving around as much, and like watching the crowd, I don't know about you, but I was almost kind of like, are they bored? Like nobody's going to do anything. But then
It can definitely be intimidating in front of a crowd.
yeah, it was.
But I think it's something that kind of demands your attention a little bit.
Yeah, and people just hear 2 voices come in together, and like Forrest had mentioned earlier, like us knowing each other and singing together for so long, like we've learned how to be really attuned to each other, even the way that like we inflect certain vowels. And so I think it almost made some people that were listening almost like do a double take of like who's singing what, or, like what are they trying to do, and it was really cool, definitely, because all the other musicians we played with were really great, but we were kind of accustomed to the sequence of like 1 lead singer in every single group, and so it was really cool to bring Stella up, and then once that happened there was like a no-brainer. It was like obviously we will sing together forever.
So do you think that reaction, that kind of silence, that came from them not knowing what to expect and then just being surprised with what they heard, or?
Well, as a person who was in the audience, I can tell you that for me it was just like encapsulating. Like, I hadn't heard them play together yet, and this was before I ended up playing with us. But as soon as Stella went up there, it just like the vibe totally changed, and it kind of like switched from the kind of thing where you're like, oh, maybe you showed up for the other band and you're like listening to this band and you're just talking to your friends and stuff. I feel like all those people who were doing that sort of had their attention grabbed by it, and because like you said, it's unique. You don't see it a lot.
How did that make you guys feel?
Fantastic.
I'm almost like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm almost like, wow, like it just seems like we inadvertently like set the bar high by like like him in the audience saying like it was like encapsulating to a certain sense, because like, oh shit, I hope we can do that again.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a high.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. So how would you guys say COVID has affected your rise and your breakout as a band together?
Well, she made an interesting point earlier about it sort of evening out the playing field for more undiscovered artists. People are relying a lot more on digital means to release and listen to music these days, and that kind of opens it up for people who don't have the professional resources necessarily to do so. It really makes it a little bit more even.
Yeah, I would also say that like with the onset of quarantine and all of the other weird things that have happened this year, people have strayed away from their daily schedules and their lives and their priorities, the things that took up their time, away from creative outlets. But when all that hit, we suddenly had so much more time.
Right.
You know, to embrace that. And, like, all of us, and her and I in particular, we're always together anyway, spending a lot of time together. So being able to have that time to be like, let's actually see what happens, it seemed a lot more attainable than trying to squeeze it into a really busy life.
So you mentioned that, you know, there's more of a level playing field now, that as more artists, you know, have a need to move to social media to promote themselves. What do you think it's going to look like, you know, when quarantine isn't necessary, when the social media isn't necessary? How do you think the industry is going to look when that happens?
Gosh, I mean, I think it'll be forever changed, personally. I don't think it'll ever go back to the way it was. I mean, nothing will go back to the way it was, you know? Certainly not something as dynamic as the music industry.
Yeah.
Plus, you see that, like, a lot of musicians today, especially, like, freelance, like, amateur solo musicians, are getting their breaks on, like, SoundCloud and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's been happening for the past decade, and I think that now, the fact that everyone's sort of forced to stay at home and focus on, like, their outlets being through the internet and different ways like that, it's like, that might change as we transition more to in-person gigs, but it's always going to be in person, you know? Because that's the way people listen to music, that's how people find out things, you know?
Yeah, I also think that, like, in the aspect of, like, a musician that, like us in particular, that have, like, some of these songs sat on for a long, long while, or, like, the contemplation of, like, how we would go about this process. Like, when live music was what it was before, like, when the entertainment industry was pre-COVID, it almost was, like, a lot more intimidating, like a 1 in a million chance that somebody could even try to do this and do it well, because all of these headliners and, like, consistent, you know, icons in the music industry were always at your fingertips to see, to watch, to interact with, and, you know, thus being, like, intimidated by. But, like, when that's kind of stripped away, and, like, I'm not a person that's on social media a lot, but, like, for people that, like, were on it a lot, like, even some of those, you know, renowned figures were stripped away, it, like, at least I feel like in a way almost makes it easier to, like, leave the comfort zone and to just try something.
Right. I totally get that. So you guys have new debut EP coming out tonight, not a few weeks from now, tonight. You know, what can you tell me about that? What was it like, you know, putting that together?
Well, it was an absolute privilege to be able to work with Will on it. You know, he works with, I think, some of the best artists in Colombia, and is just very knowledgeable and experienced, and, you know, without him, we wouldn't be able to have done it in one day, which is why it's called One Day.
One Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, there you have it, everyone. That's Melancholia. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for Vox Fest's closing set coming up just at 7 p.m. with Post Sex Nachos. See you soon, everybody.